Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rundown. I'm Chris Sixon with INFOWeather Catholic Media. Today is Saturday, January 23rd, 2021. Note, it's Saturday, not Monday, and we're going to continue doing it probably on Saturday or some realm closer to Saturday or Sunday rather than Monday because school's starting and I need time to make this rundown for you guys. Let's get started. First off, this week, weather, sports, COVID-19, then news and politics combined section this week, and it's also a large section this week, mostly about our new President Biden. Let's get into this week in liturgy. Today is a ferial day for the second week in Ordinary Time. Also, optional memorial of St. Vincent, Mary and Cope, and the Blessed Virgin Mary. Third Sunday in Ordinary Time will take place tomorrow with the conversion of St. Paul on Monday and Saints Timothy and Titus on Tuesday. Wednesday is another ferial day because that's what happens here in Ordinary Time in the optional memorial of St. Angela Mercy. And on Thursday, it's going to be the memorial of St. Thomas Aquinas, followed by a couple more ferial days, optional memorial of the Blessed Virgin Mary on Saturday, and the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time on the 31st. Let's get into weather. We have winter weather, no severe weather this week, tropical weather, and then weather in Columbus and Norman. First off, in terms of winter weather, we have a major winter storm Sunday and Monday, potentially into Tuesday as well, particularly on Sunday in the Kansas, Missouri area. By Monday, it's those areas in blue you see on the map there. And then by the time we get to Tuesday, it's more of a northeast Pennsylvania type thing. So the main areas we're watching is going to be that corridor there in blue. For the most of the event is that corridor in blue throughout the Midwest right there. Central Ohio, stay tuned for snow day potential. You note that we're on the bottom of that light green area, which does give a little bit of a potential for some wintry weather. So stay tuned for that if necessary. In terms of tropical weather, we had two storms dissipate, Joshua and Kimi, in the southern Indian Ocean. We also had a short-lived tropical depression that lasted less than a day over northwestern Australia. We have two storms current right now, Category 1 Hurricane Eloise made landfall on Mozambique this morning. It was between Madagascar and Mozambique, made landfall in Madagascar earlier last week, this week, whatever you want to call it, and it'll dissipate tomorrow, low-end Category 1 equivalent there at the moment. We also have a tropical depression located southwest of Jakarta in the southern Indian Ocean. It'll maybe get named later this week, but nothing too crazy, no effects to land with that one. Moving on to our local weather here in Columbus, we're looking at cold and sunny today, cloudy and near freezing for Sunday. We're going to be in the mid-30s all week with a wintry mix on Monday and Wednesday. We're mainly looking at most of the day Monday and then Wednesday night into Thursday. Stay tuned for information on that. I'm really not expecting anything too wild on either of those occurrences. So don't expect any new information from me, but be aware if I do post something, that will be why. We're going to be nearing 40 next weekend, potentially exceeding it both Saturday and Sunday. We're looking at rain as well. In Norman, we are still watching the potential for a little bit of storms both this weekend and next weekend. We're going to be nearing 60 Sunday with a half an inch of rain, which will make it for a wet Monday, the first day of school here at the university. We're also going to be looking at temperatures around 50 for most of the week, potentially near 45 on Wednesday. But it'll be up to 60 by Friday and windy, unfortunately, and then 60 and rainy on Saturday before Sunday hits 55. Let's move on to sports. We have the NFL playoffs taking place on Monday, Chiefs, Bills, and Packers, Buccaneers. Stay tuned for more information on that and who gets in to Super Bowl 55. In terms of COVID, let's get into this COVID update 2021-4. Decrease in the daily new cases per capita in most of the states, which is good. Nothing too wild to report there. However, looking at the county map, we do have something wild to report. Forest County in Pennsylvania, that's that darker colored county to the southeast of Erie. And you can see that it is now a dark blue. It was previously like a normal color like the rest of the state. So apparently there was an increase there. Nothing else too wild to report, which I think I already used that phrase once this video, but who cares? Daily new deaths per capita, also no real change. We do have an increase in Texas and Louisiana, but the other states that were higher, like Arizona, Mississippi, those states decreased in the past couple days, which is good. Looking at the deaths per capita, also no major change. Obviously, like we didn't have any big death extinction bombs or anything hit, so that is definitely good. Moving on to hospitalizations, also generally decreasing for many of the states, which is good. You do see Ohio on a decent decline, as well as Michigan and the surrounding states. So that is very, very good. Moving on to infections over time, we're looking at decrease. Remember that green line at the bottom there, that universal masking is more effective than the vaccine rollout. So continue to wear your mask until like it's deemed safe to take off your mask. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say wear your mask for the foreseeable future. But the good news is the vaccinations are rolling out, and we'll get into that here in a second. Right after Oklahoma, which has 636 of its own vaccines, 36 of those are the second dose, fully vaccinated. We do see an increase in isolations and quarantines over the past little bit here. The reason for that likely is students starting to return back to campus. Expect that to continue to increase over the next few days. Also of note, students' cases are back up to 85. Remember, they were below the number of staff cases last week. So that is indicative of students returning back to campus. In terms of the United States as a whole, every state has over 2.8% of the population with the vaccine. Alabama leading or pulling up the caboose there, but we have 9.3% in Alaska, and near that, I believe, in West Virginia as well. The Dakotas and New Mexico also doing very well. In terms of percentages of the U.S. population, we have 12% of the population has a vaccine that the U.S. has, and that has been distributed to the states. But only 5% have actually received that first dose, and less than 1% have received the second fully vaccinated dose of the vaccine. Now, that vaccine is supposedly effective against the B.1.1.7 variant of COVID-19, which has increased across many of the states and many new states on that list this week. We also, of note, studies out of the UK have shown that this vaccine may actually be more deadly than the main variant, potentially 13 or 14 deaths per 1,000 cases. In the United States, still over 25 million cases, less than 10 million current cases, though, which is good. New York hopped Florida to take the second spot. Virginia hopped Texas because Texas dropped in cases this week, which is good. And Kentucky hopped Colorado to take number 10 in the United States. Worldwide cases remain below 100 million rather. That's a throwback. And worldwide deaths are still, of course, above 2 million. Worldwide recoveries over 70 million. Current cases still below that 26 million mark, as they have remained for quite some time. And then the other countries, you can see there, no real change to the top 10 in terms of countries. I don't believe they've got jumbled up a bit, but like the top 3 remain the same, and the bottoms got moved around. As you can see, they're all in the same ballpark within a million of each other. So that is of note there. Let's move on to the news. We're mainly talking about Biden in the news, so we'll talk about Biden and Harris. Roe 49 years later, and some things that Biden and Pelosi have already said about that, with that occurring on Friday was the 49th anniversary of the Roe decision. And then the USCCB statement they released on President Biden on Wednesday. In other Catholic news, Biden edition. Now, I'm going to try to remain as impartial, unbiased as I can here. While also, I'm going to be highlighting many bad aspects, is I guess a word I could use, from a Catholic perspective on President Biden. I'm also going to review many good aspects of President Biden from a Catholic perspective. So don't tune out if I say something you disagree with because I'm bashing Biden, because I'm going to come back and I'm also going to say good things about Biden as well. So let's get into it. Biden, 46th president, second Catholic. Kamala Harris, first of like everything, very historic presidency and vice presidency right here. So that is always very awesome and fantastic to see. Let's move on to Roe 49 years later. 40th Annual March for Life takes place this Friday, January 29th. Mainly going to be virtual, a few invitees in person. So that will definitely be historic as well. We'll see if the president or vice president does something about the March for Life, supporting it or not. But I doubt that that's going to happen because, we know Joe's policy on abortion. And in fact, he released a statement on Friday, which is the Catholic Day of Prayer for the Legal Protection of Unborn Children, stating his commitment to codify Roe, which he said in his candidacy, which of course is contrary to the teachings of the Catholic Church. Also, contrary to the teachings of the Catholic Church, the statement wished to, quote, increase access to contraception, end quote, which of course, like I said, the Church is against because it separates the conjugal act of love from bearing children. Also, the statement didn't ever use the term abortion when talking about the Roe decision 49 years later. It instead called it the right to choose, which of course the Democrats tend to do, which is a euphemism for abortion. And they never say what they're choosing. The right to choose murder, genocide, whatever, I don't know. And also no official reinstatement of the Mexico City policy or the Hyde Amendment as Midday Friday, which is good from a Catholic perspective. We don't want to see those things reinstated, but Dr. Fauci said that they probably will be. And so we'll see if they actually get put in place. Also, part of the inauguration preparations were these small American flags all around the Capitol, and you could donate to them by going to the inauguration site for Biden and Harris. Unfortunately, by default, these flag donations, part of the donation went to Planned Parenthood. Who knows why they did that, but that's beyond me. Nancy Pelosi, on the other hand, expressed disgust for pro-lifers on Monday, which she's Catholic, or at least claims to be, so I'm not sure what that's all about. She said, quote, "It gives me great grief as a Catholic," end quote, "that pro-lifers, quote, were willing to sell the whole democracy down the river for that one issue," end quote. And that one issue is actually over 60 million deaths. So she kind of just dismissed 60 million deaths. At least that's what it seems like to me. And that's unfortunate that a Catholic did that. Her Archbishop Cordileone, condemned her, saying that Pelosi, quote, "speaks in direct contradiction to a fundamental human right that Catholic teaching has consistently championed for over 2,000 years. So good on Archbishop Cordileone on that. Let's talk about the impacts of canon law, because one of the things whenever we bring up Catholic politicians and abortion is, well, why don't we just excommunicate them? Well, we really can't do that. Now, Canon 1398 is what excommunicates somebody for procuring an abortion, but legally supporting it from the position of a legislator or an executor isn't necessarily excommunicable. Canon 915 does shed some light on this, and although it's not excommunication, it is not admitting someone to communion, which is very similar to excommunication. Obviously, excommunication means you can't receive communion. That's literally what it means. But it also comes with what interactions you can have, interactions and dealings with you can have with the church. And Canon 915 simply bars you from receiving communion. Now, four things have to be met. Is it sinful, grave, manifest, and obstinate? Yes, abortion is sinful and grave, and the support of it is sinful and grave. Now, is it manifest? Manifest meaning, is it somebody that's well known in a position of authority, or in a way that somebody, if they heard somebody say this and knew that they were Catholic, they would think that that this person is somebody against it. The way one might think of it is, if it's somebody at a rural parish, it's manifest. If it's somebody at a big urban parish, it's probably not manifest, like some random Joe Schmo. Now, if it's two of the three highest ranking officials in the United States government, those are pretty public, aren't they? So I would say it's manifest. Now, is it obstinate? Are they continuously doing this thing, or are they obstinately persisting? Maybe. It seems like they are, but no bishop, I don't think, is going to come out and publicly state that the president and Speaker of the House can no longer receive communion, which, there's a thing to that. Like, there's a line to be drawn between niceties and what sort of, for lack of a better term, diplomatic privilege the president and Speaker of the House should receive from the church, and things like that. Now, this canon 915 is also the same canon that applies to divorced persons. So if you're divorced and your attempted marriage has not been annulled by the Catholic Church, then you aren't supposed to receive communion according to this canon. And so that's the same thing that applies here in this state, because that is what it is. Now, the USCCB released a statement on Biden. It was supposed to be released at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, after some, shall we say, disagreements between certain bishops and cardinals within the United States hierarchy. In contacting the Vatican. The Vatican told the USCCB to wait until afternoon on Wednesday. Let's get into the context of it. And this is really what I meant when there's good and bad about Biden in terms of his presidency. The good, as Archbishop Gomez states, is Mr. Biden's piety and personal story, his moving witness to how his faith has brought him solace in times of darkness and tragedy, his long-standing commitment to the gospel's priority for the poor. All of this I find hopeful and inspiring. And I couldn't agree more. Joe Biden's commitment to the poor and vulnerable is fantastic. It's at a high level. It's something that we really need in America. However, as Archbishop Gomez continues, our new president has pledged to pursue certain policies that would advance moral evils and threaten human life and dignity, most seriously in the areas of abortion, contraception, marriage, and gender. Now, these are obviously areas that the Catholic Church is against the United States government on, and has been for quite some time. And as we mentioned earlier, Joe Biden has already released a statement supporting abortion and contraception, although not stating abortion explicitly, did mention contraception explicitly, has already done policies on marriage and gender contrary to the church, which is very unfortunate. But back to the good. I want to end on a good note here. Other Catholic news, Biden edition. The Catholic Church stands behind Biden on the issues of immigration and the travel ban, which are two things that he's already taken a great deal of interest in, and we knew that he would. And these are very, very good things. He restored DACA, reduced deportations, halting it for some up to 100 days, which, of course, especially in the cases of children, is separated from the parents is very important and good that he did. But even beyond that, and this quote really applies to the travel ban as well. Bishop Dorsonville said, quote, "Our Catholic faith recognizes the right of nations to control their borders, but we can still uphold the rule of law without denying refuge to the vulnerable," end quote. Obviously, that's something that is a hallmark of the Catholic faith and has been for forever. Helping the poor, helping those in need, helping the vulnerable. That is giving shelter to those who need refuge. Those are things that the Catholic Christian faith has done for 2 millennia and will continue to do. Travel ban, also the repealing of the Muslim travel ban. Sure, they aren't Catholic, but they're still human beings, which is the same reason the Catholic Church is where it is on abortion and in marriage. It's because people are human beings and they need respect and dignity, and these travel bans aren't helping people get out of situations where their dignity is being lost. And Joe Biden, in his executive order, said, quote, travel bans, quote, "are a stain on our national conscience and are inconsistent with our long history of welcoming people of all faiths and no faith at all," end quote. So again, good quote there from Biden. Fantastic. Some great policies already being put forward by the Biden administration, but also some policies that are lacking from the Biden administration. And so we look forward to resolving those things here shortly, and I'm sure they will resolve themselves with time. That's all for this episode of The Rundown. We'll be back again between January 30th and February 1st for the next rundown, and then again between February 6th and February 8th. Next rundown, we're also going to have a special segment on Seek 2021, the Focus Conference, which will take place virtually. Stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy. Don't forget to wear your mask. That's all for now. Chris Sixon, INFOWeather, Catholic Media. This is the Rundown Special Report. Today's Saturday, January 23rd, the day after the Day of Prayer for the Legal Protection of Unborn Children. During the Mass at Columbus Cathedral yesterday, 8 pro-abortion protesters entered the cathedral and started chanting and holding up signs. As you can see, they are detailed there. I won't get too much into it other than the fact that they disrupted the sacred liturgy. And it wasn't just the Bishop of Columbus there. The Bishop of Cleveland was also there, which is unfortunate as well. That was how the Bishop of Cleveland was welcomed back to our diocese, and how these people would interrupt the sacred liturgy like that. All of those things, not ideal, not good, and really uneducated stances that these people decided to take yesterday during the Mass for the legal protection of unborn children, because we want to protect people, all people. That is the goal of the Catholic Church. So that's all for the special report of the Rundown. I've been Chris Dixon, INFOWeather, Catholic Media.